Could somebody please make it make sense?
Hey everybody, welcome to Pop of Culture. I'm your host, the Esoteric and Facetious, and this is Pop of Culture, which is my video essay podcast where I speak on pop culture, social justice, and human experience from a Black, bisexual, millennial, Gen Z perspective. And in today's video, I want to talk about Season 1, Episode 1 of the SWV XSCAPE show. I wanted to cover this show, do reviews, reactions, recaps, whatever you want to call it, because I'm a big fan of XSCAPE. I'm a big fan of Kandi. I love the fact that Kandi has really turned lemons to lemonade with her career. XSCAPE had some solid success with 3 platinum albums, but I love the fact that she was able to parlay her experience in XSCAPE to becoming a songwriter through songs like Bills, Bills, Bills and No Scrubs to writing for so many other people. Because basically, I believe No Scrubs and Bills, Bills, Bills were songs that were going to be for XSCAPE, for Kandi and Tiny to do together, potentially. And I love how she turned that into the songwriting. And like now she's on Housewives, she has all these businesses, she's doing all these different things, she's on Broadway. So I love Kandi. And she's definitely like a local celebrity. I definitely always hear people talking about her restaurants. I'm definitely gonna have to try one of those. And I also am a big fan of R&B music. I'm a singer myself who loves R&B music, who's also, making moves. I'm in voice lessons. I'm taking steps to make R&B music of my own. So I definitely wanted to cover this show because obviously if people are watching this show, they're probably also interested in R&B music, 90s R&B music, and they probably have similar interests to me. So I thought this would be a good move for my channel. So let's get into it. So I watched the first episode of the SWV and XSCAPE show, and I want to give my thoughts on the different things that happened in the episode. So the big thing I wanted to talk about from this episode was the conflict between Latasha and Tamika. So as I said, I'm a big fan of R&B music, so I'm somebody who loves going to concerts. I'm definitely someone who's trying to see Chloe, I'm trying to see Janet, maybe Beyonce, but those ticket prices are something else. But as someone who's a big fan of R&B music, I try to see when R&B acts are performing, especially in my area, and I peeped that with XSCAPE, I believe it was around the time they did something with BET. I think it was an R&B Awards. It was either the BET Awards or an R&B Award. And basically, I peeped that all 4 of them were performing there, but then they were doing a show with Bobby Brown, and the sister Latasha wasn't going to be there. So I just peeped that because I was just like, that's a little weird. And the funny thing is, me and my friend, we love the song Arms of the One Who Loves You. I may actually come out with the cover of that, but y'all will see if that does come through. But the funny thing is, that's our favorite XSCAPE song. We'll always be singing it. But around that time when we got into that song, it came out that the sister wasn't going to be performing with them. So it's just like the magic on that song can't really happen. I mean, I'm sure Kandi or Tiny could take over the part or whatever, but it's just like the magic on that song and the magic on a lot of the songs. Latasha's a big part of the group and a big part of their sound. So it was very interesting to see that she wasn't going to be a part of the group. So it was very interesting watching this episode because as someone who's a casual fan, I knew that there was probably something going on behind the scenes, but in the show you get to actually see some of what's going on. Because for me, I remember, because I watched the Unsung for XSCAPE, so I remember there was some beef between Latasha and Kandi, because it seemed like Latasha, she was getting a lot of leads on the 3rd album, but I guess for me, I'd never realized that there was actual beef between the sisters. I thought the sisters were always good, but seeing that they were beefing, it had me shook because I was just like, as someone who has a sibling, I have a sister, it was interesting to see these grown adult sisters living completely separate lives where they don't even interact with each other, where it seemed Tamika was more on good terms with her other crew members over her sister, because as someone who, like I said, has a sibling, I'm just like, how is it that you're beefing? Because, I guess as a young person, I'm always one of those people who always thought, like, when I grow up, like, me and my sister, like, will be like the aunt and uncle to each other's kids and will be in each other's lives. So seeing these people, they both have kids, they both have husbands, but they're living these separate lives, it kind of made me sad because I'm just like, you hear the magic on so many different XSCAPE tracks between their 2 voices, and then you see in real life they aren't really all that good. So it was very interesting to watch that. And it was kind of heavy because, I just wanted them to get along, but you could see there was a lot of stuff going on under the surface. I really felt for Latasha because you could see whenever she was in the room with the other XSCAPE members, especially when they had that big dinner scene where they were all trying to decide everything, you could see there was something truly bothering her. I guess my thing is I kind of can see both sides of what's going on. But I guess with Latasha, my thing is I felt for her because I felt she was clearly going through something. But my issue with Latasha was, if you saw the episode, Latasha, apparently when they were I think they were at that Vegas show where basically Kandi and Tamika were locked out of their dressing rooms, and I guess Tiny and Latasha had access to their dressing room. And apparently Latasha just gave them the cold shoulder and didn't want to help them out. And so they kind of came after her in the group chat, and then they said something around like, well, if you hadn't asked to kiss or something like that towards her. And she tried to call out like, oh, that's body shaming, you're body shaming me. But it's like, why did you give them the cold shoulder? And I do feel like there may be some jealousy on Latasha's part with the fact that I feel like she was one of the best singers of XSCAPE, but I feel like there may be some resentment towards the fact that Kandi is like on all these shows, she's getting all this coin, she has all these businesses, and I don't want to be that person who's like, oh, you're jealous of XYZ, because you could not be threatened by somebody else's success. It's not always that case, but I do get that from Latasha. I feel like there is something under the surface there. But I do feel like the whole body shaming thing is BS. I do get where Latasha was coming from with maybe being insecure about her body, because she was talking about how a lot of people always refer to her as the big one, the big sister, rather than by her name Latasha. But I felt like in terms of this, like, oh, if you hadn't asked to kiss, it felt like she has bigger issues and she's trying to hide them behind this body shaming argument. And I'm for calling out fat phobia or body shaming and all this stuff like that, but it felt like in that situation, it felt like there's something deeper to this and you're just using that as like the way to win the argument. So I definitely feel like Latasha was wrong in not checking on her sister, because at the end of the day, y'all are sisters. Like, F the fame, F the money. Y'all are sisters. So you should have checked in on your sister and on your group mates, because y'all are a team. So I felt like there was some shadiness there. But I also felt for Tamika, because Tamika really felt like Latasha stole her royalties. So I just felt like both of them had some valid points to make. Like Latasha, she's clearly upset, but I think Latasha's not really ready to address the real reason why she's upset. But Tamika, I got why Tamika was hurt too, because Tamika felt like Latasha stole from her. My thing with it is, with Tamika, I'm not blaming her, but I feel like if someone stole from you, you need to clock that immediately. Like, you're trying to bring that years up after the fact. Whether she stole from you or she didn't, the money's probably spent by now. So I feel like I got why, like, if that's your sister, you don't want to like turn your sister in. You don't want to have her behind bars, but I feel like you need to handle that, whether it be small claims, whether it be this or that, because you're trying to handle it years after the fact. Because like I said, whether or not she stole from you, the money has been spent. So the main thing I didn't like about this episode was the mom, and I'm not going to critique her because like parents are not perfect, even like grown parents, but I did feel like the mom, I liked that she was trying to bring them together or whatever, but I did feel like she wasn't necessarily, like, I don't know, I'm like, I think that families can settle issues, but I just felt like she wasn't really, like, sometimes I feel like as Black people, we need to bring a therapist in who can really, because even too, I remember watching Ray J and the Princess, they had a show where it was called The Conversation. It was about them talking about issues they had in their marriage. And it was an entertaining show, but the biggest issue I had with it was there was no professional, there was no therapist or person who's used to handling conflict, a mediator. So it was just them yelling at each other. And I felt like the mother wasn't necessarily someone who had the skills to diffuse the situation and get them both opening up. So it was just like Latasha and Tamika going after each other and going after each other. And I felt like she was also kind of invalidating Tamika by saying, oh, she didn't steal from you, she didn't steal from you. She could have stole from her. Like, if you don't know the situation, why are you trying to, and I get she was trying to keep the peace, but like, that's why you get a mediator or a therapist or somebody there to actually help the situation. So I felt for Tamika and I felt for Latasha, because clearly there's some hurt feelings. But I may have felt more for Tamika, because Latasha, it felt like she was kind of putting on that hard shell, or that cold, I guess like that cold shoulder. Yeah, the cold shoulder. She had this like hard exterior. People were complimenting her saying, oh sis, you look good. And she just kind of like tried to brush it off. So I just felt like Latasha, I feel for her because she has hurt, but Tamika also has hurt, because you trying to F with our money. Like, people don't play with their money. So what else did I want to get into? I really like Tiny, because Tiny was basically saying, I'm here for getting my money. I'm trying to, show my talent. Like, I love that even though she's with T.I., who's very successful, she's still trying to do her own music thing, get her own money. Like, she's not just living off his coin. Now, if she wanted to, that's fine. But I love that she's going out of her way to have her own stuff going on and not just trying to live off his coin. And the last thing I wanted to bring up was, I like the SWV. I like that even though they don't agree with each other on everything, they're not going to let it stop the art. They're not going to let it start the music. And they said, of course, they're older, so they're a little bit more mature, and they realize, I guess, what's at stake with you fighting and that not allowing y'all to perform. I love the fact that they were going to that private party and they were just like, we may not love everything about each other, but when it's about that money, when it's about us performing, we are going to get our coin. And I love that they were trying to explain that to XSCAPE, because they're a younger group. Because it seems like with XSCAPE, they let the conflict get in the way of the music, and it seemed like that's held them back, because I believe they were going to make more music after the third album, but of course all the conflict. So I love the fact that the older women of SWV were showing them, hey, like, there's priorities, and this money and these business deals are more of a priority than our personal feelings. So I hope that Latasha is able to mend things with Tamika. I hope if Latasha did steal, she owns up to it, because I love XSCAPE and I definitely do want to see them live, especially singing Arms of the One Who Loves You. But I will say, I actually saw a clip of Tiny singing Softest Place on Earth. So I'm like, honestly, Tiny could probably take some of Latasha's parts if it's really this big of a situation where Latasha doesn't want to perform. But let me know your thoughts on the episode. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for next week. Thanks for watching. Like this video if you like this video. Let me know if you agree or disagree with the points I made in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, definitely like, comment, subscribe, and share. That way, even if YouTube isn't pushing my content, those who resonate with it are sharing it so it can connect with others who would enjoy it. Those are some easy, free ways to support a pop of culture. If you want to support this show financially, feel free to send a tip to my Cash App or buy me a cup of coffee, both the link below. All who donate will be featured in the credits of my long-form commentary and cover videos. There are 2 playlists that are going to pop up, one where you can binge watch my covers and one where you can binge watch my commentary. Enjoy. Bye-bye.